everyone, I'm Nina Collins from Revel. This is a live event that's being recorded for our weekly podcast, Raging Gracefully. This week, we're here to have a panel with 3 matchmakers, which I'm very excited about. I have lots of questions about matchmaking, as I'm sure the audience does. The audience is filtering in the room. You guys are very welcome, encouraged to write questions in the chat, which I will manage. I've gotten pretty good at it because we do this all the time. And what I'm going to do is have our 3 panelists introduce themselves. They're in different parts of the country and have, I think, somewhat different areas of expertise. So Michelle, Lori, and Maria, I think what we should do is I will call on you. And if you could introduce yourself pretty succinctly, like let's say not more than, 2 minutes or whatever, 3 minutes, your name, your age, where you are. I like that we share our ages if you're willing, what your specialty is, what your company is called. And then at the end, we'll do a wrap up and you can also put it in the chat how people can reach you, etc. So Michelle, why don't you go first?
Happy to, thank you. So my name is Michelle Jacoby and I am 56 years young. I'm in the Washington, D.C. area. I have a small boutique matchmaking and dating coaching company called DC Matchmaking. And we serve commitment-minded singles, both men and women. As I have matchmaking programs, online dating programs, and coaching programs. And I'm also the author of a book called Never Waste Time on the Wrong Man Again, which is something I know that all of us want to make sure we don't do.
Yeah, we've all done it.
Yeah, that's it. And that's really it. I'm just excited to be here and very, very happy to be with my good friends, Maria and Lori, who are awesome matchmakers.
Great. This is so exciting. All right, Lori, you're next.
Sure. Hi, Lori Burzak. I am actually a wolfer, and I've been a part of Nina's group for quite some time now, even went over to the app for a little while. I am 53, and I've been a matchmaker for 16 years now. My company's name is Carolina's Matchmaker. So I work with men in the Carolinas with matchmaking, and I work with women in the Carolinas and beyond with online dating assistance. People can either hire me for an hour or they can hire me for a 3-month program where I give them a lot of help with online dating. And it's been very successful. I'm one of the 3 co-founders of the Matchmakers Alliance, which is what we'll talk about today. And I think that was all the things I needed to answer. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
I definitely have to come back to you because I have such a question about that you work with men for matchmaking and women for online dating. Something about that feels inherently sexist and annoying, although I'm sure you do it for very good reasons. So I can't wait to understand it better.
Yes.
All right, let's hear from Maria.
Hi, I'm Maria Avgetidas, better known as Matchmaker Maria Online. I am the CEO of Agape Match, which is a matchmaking service based in New York City, although we have clients across the country. We do have matchmaking and coaching programs. We also have a quarterly retreat. Our next one is in Greece next month. We have one in Tulum in November, probably do that again in January. And we provide a lot of dating solutions for executives. Our tagline is executive matchmaking for exceptional singles. I also am the host of dating and relationship podcast, Ask a Matchmaker. And that was birthed from, I suppose, my social media notoriety. I can't say that word. But thank you. Every Wednesday, I do Ask a Matchmaker Wednesdays. I've answered over 5,000 questions in the last almost 4 years, since August 2018. Wow. And that is also a podcast, like I said, Ask a Matchmaker, which new episodes every Wednesday as well. And I've been doing this for over 13 years. I'm a 4th generation matchmaker and not something I thought I'd be doing, but it kind of fell into my lap and I've been running with it ever since, connecting people the best way I can. Oh, I'm 37. I'm a baby, but I've been doing this as long as everyone else. So whatever. I started when I was 23. I thought I'd go into the foreign service, but instead people were just like, set me up with this person. And I did. So 37. It's great.
Okay, cool. Remind us the name of your company.
Agape Match.
Agape Match. AGAPE.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, great. Well, so let's go back to Lori, since I was curious about that. So, because that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, matchmaking, I've never hired a matchmaker, I should say. I've done, I've spent my years in the online dating trenches. I'm in a relationship now of 4 years, but I did consider hiring a matchmaker when I was in my late 30s and recently divorced. And I found it intriguing and also kind of creepy. Like there was this question of like, is it really just for men? Do a lot of these matchmakers just work for men? I actually had a matchmaker. I wish I could remember her name because it was such a shocking story. You know, I'm black, half white, and I have 4 kids. And I had a matchmaker I spoke to from like Texas, and she wanted to charge me some crazy amount of money. It was like $40,000. And I was like, that is a crazy amount of money. And
That's
she
what I
said to me,
charge.
well, all right, there you go. And she said, it'll be harder for you because you're black and you have 4 kids. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, I appreciated her frankness, but it was pretty intense. So I do wonder about this kind of, Lori, like, why are you a matchmaker only for men and providing dating consulting for women?
Well, I'm not unusual in our marketplace, to be honest with you. Probably about 95% of the matchmakers out there are doing exactly what I'm doing. And it took me until probably about 7 months ago to finally make that final decision. What I have found is that I am more successful matching women digitally with my online dating programs. The men, and especially during COVID, where I wasn't running my parties and whatnot, I always felt like I never would take on anyone if I wasn't able to match them successfully and with at least 10 really good prospects right off the bat. And I wasn't getting that influx of men that I was meeting organically during COVID. So I kind of took a detour and decided to see, you know, how could I do with really getting women online dating with great pictures and profile, natural. Like I don't erase wrinkles or shave off arms or anything. I want people I want to be really transparent and put people out there with online dating. I like to use Match.com and Bumble because we can view our the prospects that we can see it on, you know, on a web version, on a desktop version. So I have found that I have a 95% success rate with online dating with women.
Wow.
And a high success rate with the men with the matchmaking. So I'm just kind of trying to figure it out as I go. Once in a while,
for your business and for your clients.
Yeah. And I just want my clients to be successful. And I have found that men will go online dating before they will hire a matchmaker. So they're a little reticent about that. They still want to go do their own searching. And a lot of the great guys are sometimes also in privacy mode with online dating. So if you put together, you know, some great pictures and a wonderful profile, either on your own with friends, help with a professional matchmaker, you may be able to track somebody to your profile that you wouldn't be able to search for because they're sometimes like the CEOs and the high execs, the C-levels they don't want to put their picture out there, but they do want to find love. And so that's kind of what I have discovered along the way.
Interesting.
If I may add to what Lori is saying, like from a technical perspective, right? In online dating world, you don't have to define what you're looking for, right? You know that there are plenty of people that are online that are actually married or in relationships, but they're on just for the ego boost. So no one is verifying if you're single online. And also no one is really holding you down to like, okay, because you're online, you have to be in a relationship. Because you're online, you have to get married. Like anyone can join online no matter what their emotional capacity is for any kind of relationship, right? When you think of, so as a result, because of that truth, the rates of gender ratios in the heteronormative sites are 60% male, 40% female. Now, with matchmaking world, the stigma is you're going to be in a relationship that leads to marriage and possibly children, depending on the age group that you're in. And as a result of that stigma, it's not just my service. I would say about 95% of the matchmaking services across the country. And again, you know, Marie, just myself, Michelle and Laura, we know this because we are the co-founders of the Alliance, which is the trade association for collaborative matchmakers. 95% of matchmaking services do report that 90% of their signups in their database are women, because women, if they meet the right guy, they are ready for a serious relationship. Whereas with men, it's like, okay, the cab light's on. I feel dating fatigue. You do it. That's 10% of our signups, if that. I would tell you that's probably more closer to 5% to 95. So as a result, what happens is boutique matchmakers like myself, like Lori, like Michelle, where we can be choosy about who we take on. And we like to be ethical. We want to take on clients. I can only speak for myself, but I'm assuming Michelle and Lori are going to agree, and we'll see if they nod furiously. We tend to take on clients if we feel there's a 90% chance we could get them in a relationship in the next 6 to 12 months. They're nodding. So I know I'm not wrong. So as a result, as a result, you have this situation where it's like, okay, if I have this little bit of men signing up, but I have this massive database of women, it's easier for me to find matches for them. Whereas when a woman comes in, it's like, go ahead.
Let me interrupt just to be clear. So, but when you say clients, your clients are all men.
For the matchmaking portion, I would tell you that at least at my company, it's predominantly men.
Okay.
I can only take on a female client for matchmaking if I have not only enough men in my database that I can at least think of that I know are currently single, interested in getting married, possibly having children, depending on the age, but also the methodology to recruit the kind of man, not only that she's interested in meeting, but that guy has to also be interested in meeting my client.
Yeah.
And also be interested in being in a serious relationship.
Right. Got it.
That formula is way harder to do than the online dating formula.
Okay. So I'm just trying to understand this, but so how many men do you take on at a given time? And why is it easier to take on men? Because
I run a boutique service, which means that I have myself and 3 other matchmakers on my staff. And what boutique means is that typically we take on lower volume. So at my staff, we will only take a maximum of 12 clients at any given point. It might be the same for, Michelle and Laura, I don't know, but, and I don't mean 12, like each matchmaker, I mean 12 total. So 4 matchmakers are working at 12 clients at any given time together. And the reason for that is like, at the end of the day, it's a business decision, right? If I can match these 12 guys this quickly, and this is, a profit margin that I have to follow versus if I take on a person where I have to recruit from scratch and I might have to employ another person it's a whole other thing.
Super interesting.
Can I speak to this also?
Yes, please.
Thank you. I think I understand where you're coming from, where, you want to find love, you call a matchmaker and a matchmaker says, well, I'm not going to offer you matchmaking, but we are very, very passionate about serving women and serving women well, which is why we've come up with the programs that we have that serve women. So, we're giving you a sneak behind the peek behind the curtain where, most matchmakers are not going to tell you, yeah, my database is 85% female, which is what mine is. And especially during COVID, we haven't had events to go out and recruit those guys who are age appropriate, relationship ready, emotionally healthy, financially stable, all the things that women are looking for. And so oftentimes when I talk to women who've worked with a matchmaker, they've been extremely disappointed. They've paid a lot of money, made a big investment, and have felt very disappointed with the men they actually met or actually maybe didn't even meet. So what we've done in our own ways, each one of us individually, is come up with programs that serve women beautifully. And I happen to be very passionate about serving women, especially women of color and women over 50. And those demographics are not always well served by matchmakers. And we've created programs, all of us. I have a group coaching program for women all over the country. I know these ladies have programs where they coach women or do online dating assistance. I mean, these programs absolutely work. And when you find what works and serves women well, it's not about not taking care of women. It's about taking beautiful care of women, which is what we do. And but I mean, I like to explain it because.
No, I think it's really, really important to explain. It's actually super, super interesting because I'm not accusing you guys of being.
No, we're not feeling that. We're trying to explain
it's just that it's a really interesting statement about the world. And I think it's an interesting reality. So generally matchmakers, you have large databases of women, much smaller numbers of men, and generally you all, like boutique firms, take on around 10 or 12 people at a time. That's just really.
Let's say 20 max for like on average, right?
20 max on average. And those are mostly men. Maybe it's a couple women.
Yeah. But like Michelle just said, like if I told you that I have a matchmaking program for women that has a 50% success rate versus a man, which might be a 95% success rate, meaning they'd get in a relationship in the next 6 months that lasts more than 6 months. But I have a coaching program, which we do. We have a coaching program that has a 90% success rate versus a matchmaking success rate of 50% for women. Why should I charge you $50,000 for matchmaking when I can charge you $10,000 for coaching and double
your great result, double your chances of success?
It would be sexist, like you mentioned the word sexist or misogynistic, but I don't see it that way. I think there's a lot of services out there that take on women and they're like, I'll figure it out later. And it's like, well, no, you just took someone's money. And the thing about matchmaking is that we're not selling like something. We're not selling a tangible thing. We're selling hope.
Relationship and hope. Yeah. So you have to be really careful. I mean, these are people's feelings. Yeah, no, and you're all women who understand that. This is so interesting. So
can I tell you, wait, let me tell you why there aren't men in our databases. Men don't ask for directions. They just keep driving and get more and more lost. So like when a woman wants to solve a problem, what do? We go online, we Google, we get into a matchmaker's database, or we connect with someone. But men, we have to go actively find them. That takes time and resources.
Yeah.
Right. And so we are just very passionate. We started our organization because we wanted there to be high standards and ethics in our industry. We're really passionate about serving women. And this is what we think is the best way to do that.
All right. So I want to get to the alliance, but first I want to get to, it's interesting that matchmakers, it sounds like you've all started up kind of side, which have become important businesses of online dating, guidance, advice, programs. And that makes sense because online dating has taken over the world, right? And there are ways you can do it a lot better. A lot of people don't know how to do it really well. Are there any particularly obvious tips that you can share, things that you always see people doing wrong, things that you wish everyone knew?
How much time do we have?
Yeah, not to sell your trade secrets, but maybe if you can give our listeners one or two things that you always see that people maybe should do differently or think about at least, that would be interesting, I think.
I'll start with one, which is making assumptions. People make so many assumptions and they over eliminate, which is really sad. You know, I met my husband at a restaurant, and afterwards he showed me his online dating profile, which was complete and utter crap. He had written all the things he didn't want in a partner. His pictures were terrible. If he had messaged me on Match.com, I probably would have hit delete. And so I think one of the biggest mistakes we make is assuming that good guys are good at online dating. A lot of really good guys are very bad at it. I've looked at some of my own clients' online dating profiles in horror. So I would say, you know, assume the best and meet people in person before you just over eliminate. You're swiping left. Don't do that. You're gonna swipe left on your potential
swiping
boyfriend.
options. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I think my rule for online dating was you have to just be endlessly open and curious. And that kind of goes along with what you're saying. I mean, I think you're right. We probably do eliminate all sorts of people for all sorts of the wrong reasons. That's interesting.
And then we invest in people who don't deserve it, like people who don't treat us right. You know, I teach my clients that you're the dream job. And if someone was applying for this phenomenal position, they would have to impress the hell out of you to get through the door, right? And yet a lot of really wonderful women invest time in men who are just giving them crumbs. And I think that's just ridiculous. You can tell how, if a man is relationship ready and interested in you by the amount of effort he makes. And so
That's true. Some people might receive that statement as being a little bit rulesy, which I actually agree.
I love rules. Oh my God.
I agree. I mean, I remember my therapist once telling me in my 30s, like, if a man is interested, you'll know. And it's just true. Like, if they make an effort, like, you know, and if they don't, you know.
Yeah.
Maria,
I was just going to say, I think something that people don't always realize is the importance of the photos. And I think that people have an idea in their head that they need to be a certain weight or a certain something or other, and they'll pop on a photo of them like from 10 years ago. And then they show up for the date and the guy is disappointed. What I want to say is it doesn't matter what your size is, what your race is, what your shape is. None of that matters. You just need to be transparent and you need to be honest. And what I always recommend to people is, you know, wear something form-fitting that you feel good in, a color, be outside, natural, don't wear too much makeup or jewelry, just be yourself and take full-length photos and show people exactly what you look like, because there is a lid for every pot. And you want somebody to show up and be excited about meeting the person that they've been communicating with online.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And then, of course, the woman's going to show up and be like, okay, those pictures are old. But I'm telling you that as a woman who's probably going to be seeing this, just be real, just be who exactly you are, because that's what you want to attract in. And I'll tell you, some of my very best success stories are of me getting women over the age of 60 online dating and then finding love, some of whom have never really had real love in their entire lives. And like, as I'm talking about it, I have chills all over my body. Those are my absolute favorite clients.
Yeah.
And I've seen it time and time again. And it doesn't matter. Like, everybody's got wrinkles. We've all got sagging skin. Like, it doesn't matter. There really is. There are a lot of great guys out there. And the second thing is throw away all those ideas of, I hate online dating. I've never had luck there before. Oh, I met my first or second husband online dating, so I'm not going to do that again. So just kind of let go of all those preconceived ideas, because I know and I believe that there is so much love out there, and you deserve that like heart skipping love too, not the, well, I guess he's got all the checklists, so I'll end up with him. So really like go with your gut, and also the background checks are very important to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great advice.
Mm-hmm.
Maria, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I have like a million thoughts. But I guess the biggest hack is like, don't exchange numbers on the app. I know that sounds kind of weird because you're like, well, I want to date through the app. And it's like, yeah. And what we have discovered, and I'm sure Michelle and Lori might agree in their own stuff, but like we have discovered that the moment you exchange numbers on an app, that's usually the sign that you're probably not going to meet. And I know that sounds counterintuitive and very regressive, but it's just something that we keep seeing. So here's what happens. What would be best is if you are talking to someone, I want you to think of volley for serve. Remember when you played volleyball in high school and you had to do it 3 times over the net? So after your volley for serve messaging, blah, 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 what you're going to do is then start making a plan to meet. It does not matter who asks who out. It also does not matter who messages who first. It's not just me saying that. Bumble says it, Match says it. Okay, Cupid says it. They do release, hacks here.
Yeah,
and in fact, 85% of men have said that they would love it if you ask them out first online. So make a plan to meet online. Keep the messaging as, like if you're messaging back and forth, that is not the place to message someone for 2 weeks. It's literally a day. And then you start making a plan to meet. Hey, do you want to FaceTime in 1 hour or tomorrow at 7? Or, hey, you seem really interesting. Are you available to meet tomorrow at 7 p.m. or Thursday at 7 p.m.? And if they reply back with like, can't do those days, but I can do Monday, that's a good sign. If he says, no, let's keep talking, that's a bad sign. Right. But for people asking, Maria, you just said, don't exchange numbers. Yeah. Do not exchange numbers, because here's what happens when you exchange numbers. You say hi again off the app, and then you just don't message each other anymore, or you have now reason to cancel. And if you don't believe me, think about the last time you spoke to an old college friend over DM on Instagram, and then they were like, here's my number. And then you're like, all right, I'll save it. And then you never message them again. So why wouldn't you do this with a complete stranger off of Hinge or Bumble or Tinder? So
everything you're saying, I totally agree with, except this last one is counterintuitive to me. When I was online dating, I would always, I agree that you have to meet right away. And I would always say, here's my phone number, call me if you want to talk. And then if I didn't hear from them, I was done. But I hate going back and forth.
So you just proved my point. You just said you have to set up yourself.
I usually hear from them, but anyway, I wasn't dating very long. I met my current boyfriend on Match. We've been together for 4 years, but like he wrote to me, I wrote back. I was like, if you want to talk, here's my number. He called me. We went out on a date. It was it. But
I shared my age, but how old are you?
I'm 52.
52. Okay. So think about the people right now that are under 32. They have never experienced analog dating in their lives. Like they don't even know what that is. So to tell these people who don't even remember, like they don't even have their parents' phone number memorized.
They don't know anyone's phone number. That's right. You're right.
So we're talking about a generation that has literally never been to a bar. People under 32 have never been to a bar, hoping their friend goes to the bathroom so that a random person can come and get them a drink. Instead, what happens is people under 32, when they go to bars, and I know people who are listening to this can't see me, but I have my phone in my hand. And
I was just on the phone with my niece last night. She told me about this, Maria. This is so true.
What they do is someone goes to the restroom, and now you're left alone by the bar, and you take out your phone and you're just thumbing away your life. And so is the guy across the bar. And then they are never meeting. Wow. There is no analog interaction for people under 32. They don't know how, because they've never seen it.
Or wait, even more, if they see someone they like, they go on their phone to see if they're on Tinder instead of walking over and saying frickin' hello. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I love your nail polish color, by the way. It's really pretty. Okay, so that's really great advice. Okay, so don't exchange phone numbers, but definitely meet right away.
You can exchange numbers, and if you are going to make it a Google Voice number, but do it the day of the date. Like, hey, people put these really weird rules of like, if he doesn't confirm by 2 p.m., the date's canceled. No, at 11 a.m. on the day of the date, you're going to text them with your Google, and say, hey, this is my number in case there's any emergency. I can't wait to see you tonight. That's it. That's all you got to write. And now you've exchanged numbers without the needing to text. Now it's just like, in case there's a rainstorm or you're stuck in the subway or wherever you live. I don't know.
Right. I want to add one thing.
And now Sorry.
When you make a plan, this is something that some of my coaching clients do that I think is so helpful if you don't do. Sometimes they'll make a plan like, yeah, let's get together on Wednesday night, and they don't set a time and they don't set a place. When you're on the app, you set a date, a time, and a place, and then you confirm, you say, I'll confirm with you, or I'll send you my number before the date. And what Maria is saying is exactly right. And one of the people in the chat said, wow, that's how I get text buddies. This is great advice. You don't want a text buddy. You want to go on a date with a person. And we went on we go, the three of us, we go to these dating conferences. Some we throw and some that another organization throws. And one of the statistics that I remember from one of the ones we went on years ago was that about 25 to 33% of people who date online never go on a single date. That means that about a quarter to a third of the men you're messaging with are wasting your freaking time. So if they might want a texting buddy, they might just want to,
ego boost.
Right.
Oh my God, no, it's enraging. I've experienced, there was one, I remember one really handsome guy who did that to me, just kept kind of stringing me. It was like, what are you doing?
If he's handsome and he's stringing, he might be a catfish too. He's just getting
married. Like, who knows? He couldn't meet. He kept the same, and you hear it all the time, but I've only had one experience.
They get 36. Oh, and don't forget, online time is flat. So, if you message someone and it takes them 3 days to get back to you, time is flat. Do not hold that against them. They also have their single life. Maybe they wanted a second date yesterday and they were like, oh, maybe I'll delete the app. And it's like, oh no, it didn't work out. Like, time is flat. Do not hold that against them, but volley for serve. 3 messages, you got to start making plans to meet.
Right. And I'm really big into the background checks. I'm going to say that one more time. And so what I do when I'm working with a client is I do suggest that they exchange a phone number right before the date, like Maria and Michelle had said. And at that point, you can take that phone number, you can run a background check on them. So
how do you do that? I've never done that. Is it cost money?
But no. If you go on benverified.com, it's actually a very effective way of running a background check. And I think BEEN verified.com. I'm like safety first with all of this. I know if I'm married for a long time now, but if I had a sister, Michelle popped it in there. If I have a sister that was online dating or a best friend, whatever, all of my clients, I run these background checks. It's very important, and things will pop up. And, if it's multiple DUIs or if it's, there's just different things that come up that I think I'm not saying that if somebody has something in their background that they're not worthy of dating, but it's important to know what it is. That's all. It's just be informed. That's all.
2 of my daughters who are in their 20s have just moved to Bozeman, Montana, just like last week, and they'll be dating out there. And I think I'm going to give them that tip. I never really asked them about
safety. Important.
It seems like a good idea.
It is important. And then also sometimes, like the women that I work with, there are certain, they earn a certain amount of money. They want to date somebody that's is financially secure. Doesn't mean that they have to earn exactly the same amount of money. In fact, I'm not ever going to say that you need to do that, because there's a lot of very successful women out there. And I think that if you can connect on an emotional level, you don't always need to intermingle your money, and you don't have to make exactly the same amount whatsoever. But, you can check out, where do they live? And you can look at their social media and you can do a little bit of background. There's some people that don't care, and it is an option if you do.
Okay. Benverified.com. That's great. A question from the audience is, what do you suggest to do or where to go on that first meeting date?
Oh my God, I have so many suggestions. So you don't know how people, it matters less where you go and more how you sit. This is why walking dates continue to be the best, at least in New York City, one of the best date ideas. But people are like, no, I need him to spend money on me. I want to see how he treats the wait staff. And I hear you, but cocktail bars where you can sit next to each other, not across from each other. And I'll tell you why in a second. Tapas bars or mezze bars where you can kind of be cozy and sit perpendicular, and walking dates. Why is that important? Because when you are meeting a stranger, someone you've never met before, and you're doing eye contact, it can be really anxiety inducing. And sometimes, by the way, we confuse anxiety for the spark, which is not correlated. You can be on a date with someone and be like, oh my God, I felt very exciting. It's but is it the good exciting, or were you just trying to avoid their eye contact? And when you're getting to know someone, you want to open up, you want to find a place of vulnerability, a place of sexual tension, right? You're on a date. You're not on a interview, which I think sitting across can really bring that interview style out. So to me, it matters more. 3 things I think matter. 4 things matter. when you're online, when you're dating, and like in terms of like where to go on first dates. So first off, like Michelle said about photos, your photos have to match what you're going to meet, right? Your first photo has to look like exactly like what you're going to meet in person. Second, the environment that you're going to, so be it a walking date or be it out in person, try your best to sit next to each other or perpendicular to each other, not across from each other.
Huh. Okay.
Third, mindset. Remember that when you're going on a first date, it's just a first date. This is not the place to discover if you're even physically attracted to them, if you're financially compatible, if your 5-year goals align. No. The purpose of a first date is to go on a second date. Did you have fun? Are you curious about them? Go on a second date. That's it. Just put the mindset there. And the fourth thing, when you go on the date, by all means, please think that you're just one person closer to your person. By mixing these 4 things together, it is so much less important about where you go versus the outcome. And if you are going to ask me if you're going to twist my arm where to go to a speakeasy, because speakeasies tend to have lots of textures and moods and like velvet couches that you can sit next to each other. And it's like really sexy. And that can be really great for a first date. But that's what I think. Michelle and Lori.
As opposed to like,
I want to say, I'm just smiling. I have the hugest smile on my face because it's really interesting. I haven't done an interview with Lori and Maria in a while. And it's amazing how we've all come to the same exact conclusion separately. So I'm a body language expert. I'm certified in body language. There's actually a body language institute in Washington, D.C. And every single thing that Lori's saying that Maria just said is 100% true. So when you walk from place to place with someone, you're actually more likely to have chemistry with them. So you can start at the bar, then you can go to the table, then you can walk and get ice cream afterwards. It's an absolute thing. And when you face someone like this, it's actually confrontational. When you are side to side with someone or catty corner with someone, it's just you're subconsciously, you're not on, your body's not alarmed, you're relaxed, you're connecting with them more. So I just think it's amazing how we come up with the same things differently.
And
you're just
really
spot on, Maria.
I'm thinking
about Nina. Think about the natural movement of your face, right? Like if someone were flirting with you that you've never met across, you can kind of feel like you kind of clam up. You're like, oh my God, is this like inappropriate, whatever. But if you were sitting next to you, your face can naturally move around, be like, well, I remember at this one time when I went to Europe and this happened, and you can kind of like talk about yourself and find your comfort where your eyes and head is without sitting across from them. And I know this, if you are watching this, it's I think probably a little bit more fun and entertaining because I'm actually moving my face around for people who might be wondering why my microphone is going in and out, but yeah, that's my it's just so really less important about where the date is. As someone, and I'm sure here, but like I've set up over 4,000 first dates and like location does not matter at all.
Well, I have one thing to say about that though. I'm not a big fan of the coffee date. I think they feel very platonic. They're not sexy. And so I try to encourage my clients not to go on them. I don't know how you two feel about that.
Oh, I agree. No, I don't. I hate the coffee date. Unless it's, because it's like daytime coffee date too. It's like, I don't know. It's really hard. It's kind of like the brunch date. I'm kind of like, can you sit next to each other? Like, can you people watch? Like that might be better, but I don't know.
I think women who get, you know this better than I do, but what I see is women who are getting kind of burnt out on dating. Because I went through a coffee date phase where I was like, you just want to be efficient. You want to see if you like them. You want to be in and out. But I agree with you. It's incredibly not sexy. And what you're saying also confirms with my current boyfriend, we sat perpendicular at our first date. And at our second date, we went to an exhibit. And so we walked for like an hour and a half and then went to dinner somewhere. And so it's just interesting to think about the body language and kind of the science of that.
Yeah. And with coffee dates also, they're quick, right? And you just want to be efficient, you said. But I'm of the mind, and I believe that everyone has a gooey center and that some people take a while to show it to you. And so I feel like when you're on a coffee date and you're trying to be efficient, it's like you're not really leaning into creating the space for someone. It's like you're in a rush.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it takes an hour to really get to the point where you're both feeling comfortable enough to shine. And like coffee dates are just like a quick look-see. It's like, I think you should treat every single date you're on like it's special, because that person.
Actually, my favorite interview in a long time. This is super interesting.
That being said,
every single person has a gooey center. You just got to find it.
Some people have awful centers though. Come on, Michelle.
Yeah, I was going to say, I agree with you, Michelle, but then sometimes once in a blue moon, there's going to be a creep that you're going to end up with. And you need to be able to learn not to be a people pleaser and to be able to walk away.
I agree
from
with that
that date
100%.
quickly. And that's why I'm not a fan with online dating. I'm not a fan of meeting up for dinner because then you're stuck there for an hour or more. So I do think it's important to choose a location where, you know, you can be in and out if need be. If you're feeling uncomfortable, you're out of there and you don't have to stay the entire time.
But if you're at dinner, you can get your ass up out of the chair and leave too if you're not feeling safe. Absolutely.
Well, it's making a bigger statement. So sometimes it's just as easy just to cut your losses and say, and people sometimes don't know what to say. And it's just as easy as saying, you know what, I have really enjoyed meeting you, but I am actually going to head out now. Thank you so much. And just go.
Yeah.
And that's
No,
another.
to Lori's point, during lockdown, we didn't set up a lot of dates the first 6 weeks in the beginning 2 years ago, but eventually people were open to dating. And that was for us in New York, it was like June 2020. And we set up 300 first dates at the same location. It was opposite the Dakota building in Central Park West. Like to go at Strawberry Fields. So like meet in front of Strawberry Fields. And what's cool there is that if you do the Central Park loops, if you walk into the park and then you go south, there you can walk for 20 minutes until you get to 59th Street. And there's a natural loop, right? Where you can exit the park or you can keep going or go to a cafe or whatever. And what was great there was that our 300 first dates, 200 went on second dates, 100, like about 200, about 100 of them, they just exited gracefully, like, it was really great meeting you. Here's my subway stop. Like it was a very natural ending. And what I love about that is that like to this day, that is actually the most successful first date spot for us. We do mention it to clients. And I think some of our clients now like second booster and are like, I'm done with the walking dates. Please set me up on like dinner dates now. But that I really hold on to that. I think that was a really great, and it kind of reminds me of like when I met my husband, technically our first, even though I met him the night before standing among friends and we were side by side, our technically our first date was doing the Freedom Trail in Boston. That took us like 6 hours to do because we stopped for clams. We went to some museum and we went through all the friends references. We did what people do when they walk. They talk about nothing and everything. And I think you can learn a lot about people's temperament this way, because ultimately when you're looking for compatibility, you're trying to learn if you're not only value compatibility, but temperamentally compatible.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to go to pricing, but I have a quick question for you, Maria. When you say 300 first dates, that's not for your matchmaking side of the business. It's for your online dating. Like, do you actually?
No, that was matchmaking.
Matchmaking. 300 dates is a lot if you only have 12 clients.
Well, our clients go on we don't only have 12 clients. We have 12 clients at any given moment. So we probably have like 2 to 4 new clients a month.
A lot of dates.
But our clients go on like, I hope 2 or 3 dates a month through us. So it's not difficult to get to 300. And then of course, obviously we have our coaching clients too. And that will add it, but that 300 was matchmaking. That's where we set up the date. Yeah.
Wow. All right. So what should people expect price-wise if they're going to hire a matchmaker? It sounds like for a typical woman, it's unlikely you'll get a matchmaker to take you on anyway. But if a matchmaker does take you on, I guess why would a matchmaker take on a woman? What would make a woman work?
Some matchmakers, like I have a partner, another colleague, another matchmaking service where, because we attract a lot of amazing women, we have partnered with them. And that's actually 100% their business now, since they don't have to worry about like where to get clients because we're sourcing, $1 million worth of contracts to them. They spend all of their operations, where you would have spent on marketing and branding and, they spend all of their time operations attracting great men. So there are matchmaking services that fundamentally take on women and have the methodology to attract really great male matches.
Okay.
I think when we talk about pricing, what I would tell you is be a little bit suspicious. If it's like, you don't want to, we have to think of this as a value-driven thing and not necessarily what can people afford, right? It is free to join almost all matchmaking databases. That is available to both men and women.
Yep.
Right. But when it comes to like certain matchmaking services, and no hate to them, right? But there are certain matchmaking services where they're high volume. So they'll have maybe 10 matchmakers on staff and each matchmaker is assigned 30 clients. So this is a very typical example of a lot of matchmaking services in the United States and Canada
like
and the UK.
Lunch or something.
I don't want to say names, but that's a really big corporation, but there's a lot even smaller ones that have this model. So if you're a woman, for a man, ask the company, how many matchmakers do you have? How many clients does each matchmaker take, or is it total? And I think that's a really important question to learn. Are you high volume, low price? How do you source these matches? If you have so many, like I just told you that our clients go on two to four dates a month. That's not happening at the high volume places.
Right.
Is how could you manage that?
Also, one of the things I found when I was interviewing matchmakers was you have to find someone who you like, right? Don't you?
And that's a great point, right? You need to hire a matchmaker that you believe their branding online and offline is going to attract the kind of person you are looking for. Right? So, I think that keeping those things in mind, pricing can vary. I think a really good matchmaker for women starts at $25,000 and can range to like $50,000, $60,000.
Wow. And that's typical. It's like a year contract, or what is
6
it?
months.
6 months.
And I think that because I know the good matchmakers, like there are, again, I'm not going to say names, but there are matchmakers who take on women because they need to just process payroll and they're like, I'll figure it out later. But the really good matchmakers, like if I took on a female client at 50,000, I know that I have to spend $25,000 of that contract recruiting really great men into my office, like paying for commissions. Like there's a lot of expenses that go behind the scenes.
Interesting.
So when I hear a matchmaker charging $7,000 might be a lot to you because it is a lot. That's a lot of money. And for some people, that's like giving up a vacation for that year, right? And you know what's going to happen with that? If that is your mindset of like, wow, because I'm paying $7,000, I just can't go on vacation this year. Don't hire a matchmaker, because no match is ever going to be good compared to like, umbrella drinks on a beach on a Greek island. That's just not happening.
But okay.
Nico and Dimitri are just not going to cut it. Right. So, just keep that in mind. Like it's not for everyone. It's for people who want to outsource this. That mindset.
You have to think of it basically, if you're going to get a matchmaker, you have to think of it as the cost of a car, basically, for 6 months of service.
And you might not meet someone.
And you might not meet someone. So it has to be disposable. It has to be money you really are comfortable just saying goodbye to if it doesn't work. What makes, for you three, what would she have to be like for you to want to take her on?
I'll tell you about our current female client that we're recruiting for. We have one female client that we're recruiting for. And it's so personal to like our clients, because I have women, I just met this amazing woman in DC last week that, she's perfect, but she comes from a political dynasty. And suddenly it's like, ooh, this is going to be a lot harder to recruit. Not because she's not absolutely incredible and gorgeous. It's just, I know it's going to be a lot harder to do. Right. But we have this woman in Long Island. She's just she's a wealth manager. She actually has a place in Manhattan, a place in Long Island. She goes between both weekdays in Manhattan, weekends on Long Island. She's Persian. We're looking for men who are open to dating someone who is creative, funny. Like and she's in her 50s. She's looking for someone 45 to 65. Like it was so intrinsic to like the qualities of like, is she open-minded truly to who we can set her up with? Is she interested in having fun and having fun dating experiences? Because so much of this is like mindset in terms of too, right?
Very much
and
so.
She cleared all these all these flags, maybe green or red, that we went through. Not just me, like we had to go through 4 meetings to discover if we can actually match them.
You feel like you can help this person. Yeah, that's very interesting.
And I feel like I can help people all day, but sometimes the matchmaking part, like I said before, and like Michelle said before, and Lori said before, that might not be the right service. Coaching might be the better service for that person. So she just happened to have a lot of green flags, and we happen to have a good network of Long Island men in their 50s and 60s, and a good group of Manhattan men in their 50s and 60s who want to meet someone like her at this moment in time. If she had hired us 2 years ago, I would have had to say no.
Interesting. That is super helpful. Okay. So, all right. So it's about the cost of a car. And then what about online dating consulting services? Does that really vary?
So
I'll speak to, you want to go ahead, Laura? You can speak.
Yeah, sure. So for my 3-month coaching program, it's $10,000, and it's a 3-month program. So we do all the preliminary work, which is not a part of the 3 months, including styling, which we can do virtually, photography, choosing the photos, helping people with their profiles, and then launching them. Once we launch them, it's a 3-month program. And every week I'm on a one-on-one Zoom call. I personally, the owner of the company, is on a Zoom call with them. We're going through their inbox. We're looking at people who like them and determining if this is somebody that you might like. Also, we are helping sending out messages for them with them. I don't normally write messages for my clients unless they're having a super busy week, and then I could throw out an introductory letter. But we're on the phone and on Zooming, and we're determining how do we respond to any particular message.
Yeah.
I'm showing them how to best communicate with questions.
Yes, so you're coaching. It's like
I'm
one-on-one
totally coaching. And then yes,
$10,000
and then I also run as many background checks as they need, and I'm available by text or email, basically anytime.
Nice.
So yeah,
that sounds like a great service.
It's a very successful program.
Yeah.
Because
Michelle?
you know what? Because online dating is a skill and it doesn't come
Totally.
naturally.
You have to
You don't
learn
have-
it. And also,
right.
I think a lot of people need a coach. They really need help. People get so intimidated by the rejection and the fear, and they're nervous. And so I can see where it would really help a lot of people to have kind of one-on-one assistance with it.
Can I speak at a different service? So I love that we're talking about more ways of serving, and we all have different programs that overlap. We have very similar programs and very different programs, but we have a program I call it digital matchmaking and VIP coaching, where we actually take over your online dating for you. And I think Maria has something very similar, where we oversee your wardrobe, your pictures with hair and makeup. We write your online profiles. We have an online dating expert, and we will actually take it over. So you don't have to log in. You don't have to communicate with anybody. We know your schedule. We know where you like to go on dates, and we set it up for you. But I have coupled that with coaching because I think it's really important not only to meet men, but to choose the right men and to really navigate dating strategically and efficiently. So I've coupled that program with a coaching program. So women have support so that when they're out dating, they're dating smart. So so we have that program. And then I also have a boot camp where I teach women. I think Maria has something also where I teach women online dating strategy and all aspects of dating so they can date really, really smartly, because you want to invest your time and your heart in a way that's really smart and strategic and efficient to get the best results.
So someone in the audience asked about less expensive options. So I would assume you have one-on-one coaching, and then you must have group programs and weekend workshops and things where people can go that are less expensive.
Yeah, the group programs are going to be less expensive, but sometimes more fun. I have a group program that is open to women all over the US. And I think Maria does also. I love my ladies groups. They're fun.
Yeah, we have a group coaching program that happens twice a month called Agape Intensive. And we also have a retreat that has the Agape Intensive in real life. And our next one is in Tulum in November. And those range, like the Agape Intensive, like our group coaching program, that's like $595, so $595. And then you join like our inner circle, which is a Slack, which has like monthly meetings and all that stuff. And then the in real life one, you're with your new group and your new best friends, if I'm going to be honest with you. And that our retreats are $2,000. But it gets you FaceTime with the matchmaker too. So like, I got to be honest, like when I think about my clients, I also think about like, who have I met? Who do I know? So I don't have to re-meet new people now. So I do definitely give a lot of preference to people that I've had FaceTime with.
Right. No, and I can hear people in the audience who are saying, I can't afford that. And I get it. This is not no money.
Well, it's free to join databases, but
it is free to join databases. And as we know in the world, service costs money. If you hire a lawyer, if you hire a shrink, if you hire, whatever, this is just the reality of life.
Lori, I was going to jump in here and just say, with my company, Carolina's Matchmaker, you can sign up for just a 1-hour consultation with me, and we'll do like a deep dive into any of your online dating profiles that you have. And some of those sessions have stunning results. And for $250, like a 1-off or a 2-off,
Yeah, well, I
which
would
is very
think we
little
learned a bunch of
money.
really important, like, I mean, even in this call, we all learned quite a few good tips, right?
Mhm.
About making assumptions about
Can be big game
numbers.
changers.
So I think if you could
Yeah.
have a phone call with someone and really get some good. So
Mhm.
my last two questions, I want to know from each of you if you had to just pick one dating site, which is your favorite, because people always want to know that. And also, are there any particular, maybe one book that you recommend that people can buy? Michelle.
I'll go first because I'm going to recommend my book, but you don't have to buy it. I'll give it to you for free. If you go to, I wrote a book called Never Waste Time on the Wrong Man Again. Oh, look, I have it right here.
Nice.
And anybody who's watching can get it at www.michellesbook.com. And I spell my name with 2 L's. I like Match.com. I'm old school. I like Match.com because people write more about themselves and you can learn more about them. They have the opportunity. There's more real estate to share about yourself. And I've used that one with my clients with so much success. I like, they're all good, but that's my favorite.
Nice. Oh, sorry. I just realized I was answering a couple things in the wrong place instead of to the attendees, which I do sometimes. So I'll try and change that. Someone asked where you can get the recording of this. It's on our podcast, Raging Gracefully, which gets released every Friday. Just download, subscribe anywhere you find podcasts. The book is called Never Waste Time on the Wrong Man Again. Michelle's website is www.michellesbook.com.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, Lori.
Match.com is definitely my favorite site to use. It's the largest aside from Tinder, which is, an app. So that's my favorite, and for all ages, frankly. And I'm still going to go with the book Attached by Amir Levine, which really, we're all big fans of that book because it really describes your, how you can relate to people, your attachment style, whether you're secure, avoidant, or anxious, and how to find a partner depending on what attachment style you are. So a lot of light bulb moments for many people that I've suggested that book to.
That's interesting. Okay, I actually don't know that book. I should read it.
It's such a good book.
That book is
Yeah.
a life-changing book.
Wow, really? Okay,
Yeah.
Attached by Amir Levine. And Maria, what about you?
So I think I've always loved OkCupid for a variety of reasons, especially, when I was single. I'm Greek, and not that I was interested in dating you, even though I married a Greek person. You can search people by languages there because Greek Orthodox or Eastern Orthodox is usually never something you can search on and on most dating sites. But as someone whose daughter, she's turning 2 next week, is going to be probably raised with less rights than myself. I think it's really important for single people to date people that share the same moral relativity. And OkCupid does let you search with people's profiles who have selected that they believe that women should have the right to make the decisions over their own body. And I really appreciate that. I think that's freaking awesome. And I think OkCupid has my vote on best dating site. Publish that. I usually never say that out loud or publicly because I do a lot of online dating profile reviews on TikTok. But OkCupid is by far my most favorite since last Monday. In terms of book, I know Lori mentioned Attached, and I do believe that Attached by Dr. Amir Levine is a life-changing book. You should absolutely read it. I also really love How to Not Die Alone by Logan Ury. She's a chief relationship scientist at Hinge. And her book and her dating philosophy falls in line with many of our mentors. So, some of my mentors include Dr. Terry Orbuch, Dr. Ramanitra Savala, Dr. Amir Levine, and of course, anthropologist Dr. Helen Fisher. And a lot of her findings fall in line with these mentors, as well as the Gottman Institute, which is about relationship science. And I think that sometimes, we get confused by relationship influencers or dating influencers who might not be working in the dating space. They just date and they think that they know everything. But there's actually studies conducted by the NIH that tell us, here's what works, here is what doesn't, here's what to do. So I think these are I think Attached is an incredible book, but I also believe that How to Not Die Alone, it kind of gives you a nice crash course on the dating plane if you are dating.
Really interesting, you guys. This has been great. We went longer than I normally do. I loved speaking to all of you. And these are great resources. And it's a really good point that there is science behind this, that there is real knowledge that people like you really know and can impart. And that's why it costs money and skills. We didn't get to Maria, the fact that you have to spend money to find men. That's super interesting, but maybe we'll do that on another day. I want to find out how you actually find
Well,
men.
we can't tell you that stuff. That's
Okay. It's proprietary. All right. Well, for everyone listening, thank you for attending. You can listen to this on our podcast, Raging Gracefully, which gets released every Friday. You can find it wherever you find podcasts. Thank you, Michelle, Lori, and Maria. We'll also, the video of this conversation will be available on our website, on our blog, The Reveler. Will you each share your dating sites here? So yeah, if you could each type your sites into the chat, that would be great. I'm pretty sure they're also in the event description, but you can also always write to me, Nina.
Glasses on. See, I'm over 50. I can't see without my.
Yeah, I know. Same here. Always write to me and I can put you in touch with any of these people, of course. And I'm going to find you all on Instagram as well. This has been super interesting. Really appreciate the work you're doing helping women.
Thank you. This has
Thank
been
you.
a pleasure.
This was so nice. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Nina.
Thanks
All right.